Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of your weekly mixtape. I am your guest host, Jesse Jackson. Brian is off on doing something I hope fun, but he asked me to fill in, and I'm thrilled to be able to. I'm thinking of myself as Jay Leno or Joan Rivers for the Johnny Carson because I believe in up-to-date culture references. Joining me as my co-host in this is my good friend Jeff. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Jesse.
I am good. So Jeff has been on Set Listing Bruce multiple times. We have talked about Bruce more times than we could probably count. We did a whole episode on the country music, Ken Burns documentary. We've talked about making friends via long distance. And when I knew that I wanted to do an episode of a weekly mixtape, I said, Jason Isbell would be a good artist. And who would be a good guy to talk to me about Jason Isbell is Jeff. So thanks for joining me in this kind of pretty difficult task, isn't it?
I was telling for a local Dallas reference, I have never felt more like Norm Hitzkus than I do today. I was just telling you, this feels very much like I'm in. I have about 20 pages of notes here, 20 songs. I get 10, you get 10. So there's
Yeah,
going to be songs that are going to be left off. You know
yeah.
that everybody's going to be second guessing, but that's what's fun. But it makes you realize just what a great songwriter he is, and such a really strong body of work, a very consistent body of work.
Yeah, one of my best friends, Sam, talked about that. He says the world discovered him with Southeastern, but he said, but some of the albums before that, he said, I would think are just as strong. So it's really good. Well, by tradition, Brian always asks the question for a first time guest, what does the term mixtape mean to you, Jeff?
I don't. As my wife tell you, I have made mixtapes as soon as I had a cassette and a tape player when I was a kid. I made CDs when CDs came, and now I make playlists and I send to people whether they want it or not. We go on an annual camping trip to Possum Kingdom, and that is really about mixtapes. Regardless of the technology, it's really about mixtapes. And I found one that I had made, The History of Country Rock. It was a cassette that was about 120 minutes long, and it is as nerdy as you can possibly. It's like from Jimmy Rogers and the Carter Family, Graham Parsons, like all the way on up. It's music snob all the way, but pre Jason, now he would be great in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so mixtapes to me, and of course, when you were in high school, the girl that you liked, you had to make them a mixtape, and so I put a lot of thought when I was growing up, and even now when I make playlists for someone as far as mixtapes or mixes. And that third song is the one I always feel like that's the important one if you got them reeled in by then. But yeah, I love it. I was telling my son that he's 17 and he's really into Bob Dylan right now because of the movie
Yeah.
and everything. And I was telling him get the same kick out of discovering a new artist now as I did when I was a kid, when I was his age. And I told him every Tuesday I would be at Sound Warehouse in Waco when I was a kid, and like going through and finding albums, CDs, or cassettes, and then using those from a mixtape. So
Yeah.
whatever the new artist was at that point.
So tell me how you discovered Jason. And I believe it's through the Drive-By Truckers, correct?
That is right. Yeah, I was a big fan and still am of the Drive By Truckers, but I didn't know Jason Isbell. I would hear his songs every once in a while. I think I finally put together who he was through the Outlaw Country radio station on Sirius XM, as far as hearing him a lot and then going and getting his music. And he's probably the last artist who I bought all of his CDs. I have them all of Bruce's, but as far as just wanting a collection of a physical body of work, it was Jason. So he, like Jesse said, we both will probably come through some of this with a Springsteen lens, but he's as close to Springsteen as a songwriter for me as any artist that I've ever heard, as far as the attention to detail, the cinematic way that he writes, the taking a global issue and making it personal. I think that's what Bruce does so well. I remember Jackson Browne in an interview talking about that with Springsteen, where he's telling one person's story, but he's telling all of our story, or he's telling something much bigger. And I think that Jason does that so well. And I just from a cerebral standpoint, as a songwriter, he just grabbed me. And then I've seen him now probably 10 times now or so. And I'm just, as a songwriter, as a guitar player, he's just so great. It's funny. He's really funny. Like when you hearing him in
Yeah.
interviews, you hear him and or see what he writes on social media. But man, you don't get much of that in his songs.
Yeah. So my friend Sam, I'd already talked about drive-by truckers and Jason Isbell all the time. In 2000, maybe 17, Jason was going to be here in Dallas the same time as maybe Steve Earle. Sam said, "Hey, can you tweet? I'm not on Twitter. Can you send Jason a tweet and ask him, does he know the timing? Because I want to make both shows." And I did not remember, but Jason tweeted back saying, "Yeah, tell your friend to go to Steve Earle. It's not going to work out for him. He'd rather go see Steve instead of me." And I had heard Nashville, the Nashville Sound, on when I had chemo. And it was one of the albums, but I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics. It was just background music while I was sitting in the chair. So when I was going to go see him the first time last year, I got in a deep dive and I started listening to nothing but Jason Isbell. And I called Sam and I said, "Why didn't you tell me this guy was so good?" And like, F you. I told you many a times. I'm like, oh no. And in fact, I made a joke. There was a Simpson episode, I think it's Millhouse, sees Tony Bennett and he starts losing. "I didn't think he was going to do," or maybe it's Andy Williams. "I didn't think he was going to do Moon River. He was gone. He left. He came back and he did Moon River. He did Moon River." And so I tweeted a thing. "He did cover me up. He did cover me up. I can't believe it." He's okay, Millhouse. Yeah. So I've hit 5 and I have tickets for 2 more, and he had to cancel his Houston show and it's coming back this fall, and I'm tempted to try to see him in Houston. All right, so you guys know the pattern, but just in case this is your first episode, we are going to take turns. This is your old-fashioned cassette tape. 10 songs on one side, 10 songs on the other. We're going to flip back and forth. We have not discussed in advance what we're going to be our songs. And so what we have to do is try to get, okay, what is a good, and my thought, and I'd love to hear your thought. My thought is, okay, I want to try to get a nice sampler for someone who might say, "You seem to be obsessed with this Jason Isbell. Okay, where should I start?" And I'm like, okay, here is a really nice smorgasbord, get a taste of it. What were your thoughts? And what was your thoughts behind this?
The first song was really hard because I was like, and it's you and I making a list. So I don't know what you're going to follow it up with. And then I'm thinking flow. I want it to go a
Yeah,
certain way. So I want to start really strong. Do I want to go sad and then work my way up? Do I want to
yeah,
start fast and then take it down? But I decided to start with something. You may just start with what I
yeah, let's do
decided
it.
on. All right. I decided to start with a song that grabbed me the first time that I heard it. I felt like it was a good, like you were saying, it shows him as the talent that he is. It's a great story song. It's Southern Gothic to me. It's Nebraska-esque to me. There's nothing autobiographical about this song. This is a story song, and it's from the Drive-By Truckers that Mr. Isbell wrote, and it's Decoration Day. I love that song. I love seeing it live with the 400 unit, but I just really love the power of that song and just a great story.
Yeah.
You could just see it as he's painting it, and yeah, that's my number one choice.
I think that is a bold song. Hey, let's sit up there. Let's pay attention. And I'm going to follow your lead. So I'm going to do Hope the High Road, right?
Ooh,
Because another quick, upbeat kind of thing. I like the way it I've heard him do it live. I think it sounds like it's an invitation. So after Decoration day, hope the high road finds you, right? It's another invitation to we're going on this journey together. So that would be my number two.
I like that was on my list. So I'm crossing it off here. You know what? I'm gonna call my first audible on my playlist to keep
Okay.
the flow since you sped things up a little bit. I am going to go with the song that's I actually had third on my list, but I'm skipping my number two song. So I may come back to it depending on what you do. I am going to go with Save the World by
Ooh.
Jason. Also, the thing about him is, like we were saying, he writes these really powerful songs. And if you just read the lyrics, they're moving and incredible. But that song has a really great riff too. And it's a tough listen, I think, especially in the world that we live in as a parent. Uh, but man, it's just a really startling, great, powerful song.
I think one of the things you talked about earlier, and he has said in interviews that he finds the more specific he gets to his life, the more universal the themes are. I'm going to show because originally, when you said Save the World, I go, when we were close. Let's just go same, similar. But I think I'm going to go with White Man's World because the same kind of, it's a theme of him coming to grips. One of the things that I find hard for people to understand, Jeff, is that people have a different perception than me. I'm a 65-year-old white guy. My perception to the world is not going to be what an African American male or a Latino female or even a 17-year-old Caucasian guy, right? Or gal. So I like that. And I think Save the World and White Man's World is a nice little 1-2 punch of
I,
good
I
spots.
I grew up in the South, and I grew up in Arkansas, and I grew up in Waco. And the part about laughing at the jokes, and it's really about making a choice that to say something or to not condone what you're hearing. I knew people who were deacons in the church who wouldn't say hell or damn, but would say the most vile, racist things without even giving it a thought.
Yes.
And I think that call to action for us and to be allies. It's a word that gets used around, but especially in this day and age, I think for our friends and family members who are, whether they're LGBTQ plus or are a different race or religion, I think it is our responsibility to stand with them more than ever. So I think that's a great song to follow up.
Yeah, and the lyrics, right? There's no such thing as someone else's war. Your creature
Mm.
comforts aren't the only things worth fighting for. I thought of that during this last election, and people talked about eggs are too high and gas is too high. And I'm more worried about my pocketbook than I am the bigger world. And so, yeah, those lyrics really spoke to me. All
Great.
right, we're on a serious track. What are we going, Jeff?
Now I'm trying to decide, do I want to go with one more serious and do
Okay. Okay, good.
so in that vein of being brave enough to stand up for what you believe in, and even if it's uncomfortable, and not just to try to be everyday pop star, but to be brave and to not be afraid.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I like that idea of that. And so I'm going to do something. I thought I would do this later, but I'm going to do It Gets Easier
Ooh,
because I feel in that's a song about addiction. And I think there's different kinds of addiction. Jason is very open about his sobriety, but addiction to unhealthy behavior, from making the wrong decisions. And I think it's as my brother was very active in AA. And before he passed, he and I sent him a video of Jason doing the song. And he called me and he says, that's as good a song about recovery that I've ever heard. And thanks for sharing. I think Go Be Afraid and It Gets Easier. We'll stick with that.
Love it. All right, then I will follow the addiction route here.
Okay.
And you know what he does really well? It's kind of like the more ridiculous the song title, the more powerful the song, to where you're just like, what? This is a. And I remember seeing when the track listing for when the album was coming out, King of Oklahoma. I was like, is this going to be a funny song? Is it going to be a Jerry Jeff Walker, Ray Wally Hubbard type thing? And it's just this brilliant song of this man who gets hurt taking a pee on a ladder and then falling into addiction and showing the impact of the marriage and how what their relationship was before the accident, what he's going through now. It's just a great story song and a really powerful song. I'm going with King of Oklahoma next.
I love that. I love that song. When I first heard it, I was struck by it, and wife Linda had gotten obsessed with Dope Sick, the Michael Keaton miniseries about opioids. And I had her listen to this song, and she's, oh my goodness, that's so good. Yeah, I think, and it this sounds, but you could sing along with it too.
Right.
It's a serious story, but there also that chorus has the covering and just cover me up, that kind of love. She used to bring me coffee in the morning. She made me feel like, and then I feel nothing at all. Yeah, boy, that's good. So I'm tempted to go Strawberry Woman, but I think I'm going to go Something More Than Free
Oh,
to do that.
great song.
I think that talking about his life, and it's another piece of a picture song, piece of life. So I think I'm going to go with that one.
All right. I just crossed that off my list as we were moving
Yes.
along here. So I'm going to move things around on my board.
Okay.
And I'm going to have the song that I had following Something More Than Free. I love
Yeah.
that song so much. I heard him poke fun of himself about that song that he just said, it's about traveling alone. It's a song called Travel. It's about traveling.
Yeah.
But it's just such a great song. And that's the song that Springsteen came up to him and he heard somebody singing it in his ear and he turned around and it was Springsteen. And I can see that because it is that isolation, right? It's that
Yeah.
being out there and longing to belong that we know so many of Bruce's best songs are the person who's on the outside, who's traveling alone, who wants to be a part of a community, who wants to have a life, who wants to be with his woman. And it's just such a, again, it's a great sing-along song too when you are
Yeah.
traveling along. It's just
Yeah, it is.
a great song to just in the car and just sing along to it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to next.
I love that. I do think I saw the interview. He was on some podcast, and they were talking to him about, he was talking about the complexity of writing songs, then said, and then sometimes it's just you're in a room, hotel room, and you're like, I'm tired of being alone. Oh, let me write about that. So we're going to close out the first side, and I'm going to go Flying Over Water,
Oh, good choice.
because we just talked about traveling alone, flying over water, talking about the that I hold your hand and where's that liquor card. It's just a really lovely song about traveling together when you can get through these challenges. So I'm going to end the side with Flying Over Water. Any thoughts?
I love that song.
Yes.
That band, and they have truly become a rock band over the years. I think Jason's accent, people pigeonhole them as a country band, but
Yeah.
they are a rock band. And whenever that song starts, and I know that it's coming, I'm just like fist
Oh,
pumping. It's just a great live song.
what I don't understand is I do not understand how he can play guitar with his rings. It just feels like his fingers would get heavy. But yeah, I think he is underrated as a guitar player because he is just really good.
And my wife would want me to put a plug in for who she calls her boyfriend, Sadler Vaden, as well.
Absolutely.
So
Oh,
yeah.
and that the band is so good. All right, so we're going to flip the cassette over, and then I get to start this time. So, thought a lot about this. I want to start off a little kind of slower, and so I'm going to go Dreamsicle.
I feel like you just stole my pick. I'm not joking. It is my 11th song on here. I would have, if I had the first pick, I would have taken Dreamsicle.
That is right. The idea that I've got the one pick before you and I pick it.
All
Yeah.
right. Tell me about it.
I I love this story of his childhood. And what speaks to me is my dad was in the army and we had to move around a lot. I counted once, I went to 12 different schools first through 8th grade.
Wow.
Part of that was my dad being transferred. The part of it was my mom, any chance she could, she got in the car and drove back to Louisiana. If dad was going to be stationed somewhere overseas, she would go back home to mama. And the idea of having to leave, make new friends. And I did go through a divorce, my parents, and why can't daddy come home? And just the idea, it talks about the simple your childhood view and how it you just want to fix things, and it's just a beautiful capture of a life.
You gave me goosebumps just then talking about that. I think that's right. I am also a child of divorce. And I think the thing about that song is, like you said, there's the sadness of everything that's going on. And then in the middle of it, there's these just random memories that we have as a child. And again, it's the dreamsicle and
Yeah,
using that and the color of his shoes and kind of baseball reference, along with this huge memory of his parents going through this. There's all the little minutia that we have that comes to us from our childhood. They're like, where did that memory come from? And to capture that feeling, it just shows why he's the best
yeah.
current songwriter going today. So that's a excellent choice.
And yeah, like I said, I guess we're leaving town again. We're moving out and moving in. Gonna break the news to all my friends, but they won't care.
They won't care.
It
And
just That's so heartbreaking.
it is. I remember moving to Texas and just and just and of course now I've lived the majority of my life here and I wouldn't leave, but just at the time it was just the unknown and leaving all your friends behind and how are you ever going to adjust and move it. He just captures all of that in such a beautiful way, and the melody of the song just takes you on this little journey itself and you just feel memories. It's That's
Yeah.
great. All right, then I'm going to veer off here a little bit
Okay.
since we're talking about family, this song, again, coming from the South, he's a Southern writer, and it's so
Yeah.
great to have. William Faulkner was a Southern writer, and having somebody who's like a really great Southern voice.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose Last of My Kind because that song reminds me a lot of my brother. My brother and I are 10 years apart, but it's like he's from another generation. It's another world, really. Like he left and went to the military at 18. He's hunting and fishing and old school kind of man's man, but he's also this really wonderful, caring person. And there's just something about that song that makes me feel very nostalgic about where I grew up and people that I knew. And there's people that I know who still high school was the highlight of their life and
Yeah.
sheltered. And that song I think just captures all the innocence of this character and just what he's going through. I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I love that song. I feel like all of us at times have that. I am the last of my kind. Is anyone else going to understand? Yeah, that's a really good choice. Hmm. Now I gotta go. There's so many. Let's do Speed Trap Town.
Ooh,
Yeah, let's. He's joked about when he says when I try to write a song about a my hometown, it always comes up a little bit weird. And so I think that would be And I do want to get some of his earlier stuff doing that. So I'm going to go Speed Track Town.
That's good. I feel like we're getting deep into this. So it's time to
Yes,
start pulling in some of the heavy hitters here.
I agree.
So I'm going with the heaviest of the hitters. And I've mentioned before the kind of the goofier the song title, the
Yeah.
more brilliant and powerful the song is. And so I'm going with Elephant. That song is just, we all know, but someone who has gone through cancer, or someone who is going through it themselves, and the relationship that the character has between he and the woman, and it's the friendship that they have, and to be there with one another. It's such a powerful song. And the elephant in the room, things that's so difficult to talk about, the things that's so hard to say and to not leave things unsaid, I think is really one of the most important things that we can do, and to make sure that we tell people how we feel about them. And I'm going to try to close off my Springsteen references on this show right now with this. But
You don't have
I
to.
do know that when Ghost of Tom Joad came out, that Jason tweeted, without Ghost of Tom Joad, he wouldn't have written Elephant. Basically, that he was saying that album allowed him to write a song like Elephant. And I see that, but I don't think there's anybody that could write a song that powerful, that beautiful, that in the moment, with that much care and thought as Jason. It's just a beautiful song about loving someone, knowing that you just have a short time with them, making every moment last. And
When I played Elephant for Linda, she's, "Are you just wanting me to be depressed?" And I went on a spell where I was watching reaction videos. And you will see people, "Oh, react to Elephant." And they're, "Oh, wait a minute. This took a fat." Kevin Smith in an interview talked about that when his father died, there was no peace. He felt like his father was in incredible pain and scared, and it made him think that no one dies. It isn't a peaceful end. And I like that we all die alone, no matter how much we're loved and done. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this, it's an absolutely beautiful song. It is a very sad topic, but it is absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad it's on there. And so I'm going to see your elephant and raise you a vampire. Speaking of silly titles, he recent last Sunday night, I think they broadcast one of his solo shows. They had taped it, and Nugs had a release where it was like about an hour, 10-minute show. And I went into the computer room where I am now and watched it. And he told the story that the producer would just keep throwing away, "No, we're not going to do this vampire song. No, we're not going to do this vampire song," because he hadn't read the lyrics. Like, no. And finally, Jason's, "Okay, we're doing this song." And he's doing it. And he says the producer's sitting there just losing it, just crying.
yes.
Okay. When the premise was, if heaven has no end, it starts losing its luster, right? And the
Mhm.
idea that because time is a gift, we don't know what we each have a lifetime, and we don't know how long that's going to be. And to choose to spend it with someone and them choosing to spend it with you is such a gift. And I think that song tells it beautifully.
I totally agree with you. And just to let you know, that was the song that I had following Elephant on my list as well. And
Yeah.
there's the documentary Running with Our Eyes Closed. That's Dave Cobb. They actually show that moment where
Yeah.
Jason plays it, and he's, damn, Jason, like
Yeah.
he's wiping tears away. My wife's father, we just celebrated the 1 year anniversary of his death, and he was 90 years old when he died, and he had been married for 60 years to his wife, and she's in her late 80s. And she was just talking the other day just about how she thinks about him, and it's been a year, but it's little things like when it's dinner time and things like that. To watch her cope with this has been really interesting, and she's handled it with so much grace, like the person that she is. We all talked about how this was the way it had to go. He could not have handled if she had died first. he
Yeah.
he would not have been able to make it.
Yeah.
She was just the she's a natural caregiver and just this really smart, intelligent person. And you're right, no, we don't know. And just that idea of it's such a brutal, just his honesty sometimes it's just so just punches you in the face because he really holds nothing back when he's writing. And that's his this newest album. I've listened to it a couple of times and it is incredible, but I don't know how much I can listen to it, quite frankly, because it's dealing with divorce like he's done. And just the relationship with Amanda is just wow. But I think this, and it's hard. Some of these songs, these love songs, you can't help but think about that. But I think that's a song that everybody who has a relationship, that it lasts with them and they think about it often.
Yeah. What was it? Someone made a comment that it's odd that, Patty and Bruce will duet on songs from Tunnel of Love that he probably didn't write for her. And a couple of people have said that this is his Tunnel of Love. The idea of sharing and working through that is really strong.
Th-
Um,
I get it. It's his divorce album. It's his
yeah,
blood on the tracks. But
yeah,
I think where Ton of Love, Bruce heaped all the blame on him and God have mercy on a man who does what he's sure of.
yeah,
Where Jason is really, it takes two to tango here. And your friends are annoying me as well. He's just everything. I can't wait for Amanda's response
yeah.
album,
I'm
by the
looking
way. I
for that too.
mean,
And the whole idea, right? These songs don't mean what they used to,
yeah.
right? It was good.
And so is it my turn now?
Yes, it is.
Then let's do it. Talk
Okay.
about songs that don't mean what they used to.
Yeah.
I'm going to Cover Me Up. And the great part about that song is it has become a rock song through the
Yes.
years. That last, what, 3 4 minutes with the boom, the drums, and it becomes
Hmm.
harder as it goes along. They just added to watch that song evolve and grow and become what it is really, when it's done, it is, you're just exhausted. And of course, the fans a lot of times with beer in their hands cheering for Jason's sobriety every single time, I
Yes.
think is a really beautiful moment in its own way. But yeah, I do want to say this. I am very proud to say that I have never heard 1 second of Morgan Wallen covering Cover Me Up,
Yeah.
and never will.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how can you cover a song intense and personal? you
Right.
know, but whatever. I'm going to be really interested to hear it live again
Yeah.
now in the context of what they've gone through. Does it change? And like you were saying, Bruce has talked about how Brilliant Disguise has a different meaning now with Patty than it did with Tunnel. So it'll be interesting to see how
Yeah.
Cover Me Up is.
The version of Cover Me Up that's on Austin City Limits, where it starts with just him playing it, and
Mm-hmm.
then each person comes in adding it to their part. And boy, when that drum is coming in there toward the end and it expands, I just had that on repeat one day, just watching that, how they built that and did that. And the idea of that much love and that much. And it is, and I think the song becomes more than just your story. It becomes all these stories. And yes, I agree with you. Anytime you hear a live, I've I've given up that for good. And everyone, you got it, Jason, as beer slops everywhere.
Should lifting
Yeah.
their shiners.
So I'm almost thinking this is like he's ended the set and we've got 4 songs left and encore.
Four. Okay,
Yeah.
good. All
So
right,
each of us have 2 left.
that's the way I'm looking at it as well.
We're going to leave off. I'm going to do When We Were Close. I think right after the quietness of Cover Me Up, coming at When We Were Close, I think just that gets us toward the end of the tape. We may have been a little tired on our road trip and we got emotional with Cover Me Up. And then we were close. We're going to turn up the volume again and just hit the speed pedal a little harder.
My number 20 song was When We Were Close. So that was
Perfect.
going to be
Yes.
my big closer as well. That song again. it's a super powerful song when you read the lyrics and
Yes, it
about
is.
Justin Townes Earl. And I know
Yeah.
that his family is not happy. Justin Townes Earl's family is not happy about that song, apparently. And I guess his wife has spoken out against it. But the beauty of that song is Jason just saying, should have been me, or it could have been me. I
Yeah.
can't believe it wasn't me.
Yeah.
We were so similar in
Yeah.
everything that we did. But woo, man, it does rock.
It does rock. And it just, yeah, I love it.
All right.
Good.
I'm going to do the one kind of funny song that I can think of off the top of my head that he's written. And I'm going to go with Super 8.
Oh, perfect.
It's just a fun, silly, like you were talking earlier. My wife also, sometimes she's just, I can't handle Jason. She's like, he's an incredible talent. He's an incredible songwriter. But man, oh man, he writes the saddest songs ever. But she will crank up some Super 8. That is a song that she
Yes.
absolutely loves. And that's just a great, fun song in concert as well. So I'm going with Super 8.
Yeah. And I always joke about if I'm traveling by myself, sometimes I will stay at a La Quinta or something, or I've stayed in a Super 8, and I will always think of that song. Oh, should I stay at a Super 8 when I'm going to see Jason in Shreveport? And just the idea of the tongue in cheek, it's a great song live.
It is.
All right, I'm going to get a little sentimental, and I'm getting with Something to Love is my last pick. I love that. I hope we all can find something to love, and that it's almost a benediction, right? That we need.
This has been so much fun, first of all. And
Thank
I
you.
still have 4 songs left because I'm just moving stuff around and following
Yeah.
your path. And it's a great concept. I've
Yeah.
absolutely loved this. So I too will go sentimental. We've talked a lot about our relationships with whether it's our parents, our siblings, our spouses, but I'll end it with our moms, and I'm going with Children of Children. Just a great homage to his own mom. And like I said, I think it's something that we've seen babies raising babies a lot in the South. And so that's what I'm going to go with to close it out.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a really nice 1-2 punch. It
I do
leaves a
too.
very sentimental thought. He's talked very much about how young his parents were when they had him. And it seems that he has a good relationship with both parents still. So, yeah, that's a great choice.
That she was shorter than the corn line is
Yeah.
tough.
All right. So, what we've got, we're going to start out with Decoration Day, then Hope the High Road, Save the World, White Men's World, Be Afraid, It Gets Easier, King of Oklahoma, Something More Than Free, Traveling Alone, Flying Over Water. Then we flip over the tape. We do Dream Sickle, Last of My Kind, Speed Trap Town, Elephant, Vampire, Cover Me Up, When We Were Close, Super 8, Something to Love, and Children of Children. Not a bad 20 songs.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
On
I
my bonus track, I would have Tour of Duty and Dress Blues. Those were the 2 songs that I didn't
yeah,
get to. That was fun.
I really
Mm-hmm.
love that song. And
Me
then
too.
the Don't Be Tough off the new solo album, think is the same thing, and I ended up going more toward Something to Love. But I like the kind of little advice he's giving about that.
I had True Believer as one of the songs that
Yeah,
I didn't feel like it belonged as we got into the flow. So much of it
yeah.
was just about the flow too. And so trying to keep it going back and forth too. But
This is great. This is so wonderful, Jeff. Thank you for taking time to do this.
I had a blast. Thank you.
If someone wants to reach you, what's the best way?
Idiot, keep deleting it and then something will happen and I will like, let me see what's going on. But but Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads,
Okay.
just at Jeff Calloway,
Okay.
Callaway.
All right. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW, still on Blue Sky and X. Would love to have your thoughts on this. Send us an email and tell us why we were fools. to not include Stockholm or
Mm,
Alabama Pines, or there's a ton of them that we lost, but I think we did as good as we could do. Jeff, thank you so much, my friend. Let's get together soon.
definitely will.
And next time we're going to talk wrestling, which is going to be a blast.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. Listeners, everyone, be safe, be kind. Goodbye.